Just remember that you have to take this currency and pair it against another currency, possibly the dollar or the yen, and then trade on that particular currency pair. So that is what the currency column shows you, the basic currency that will be affected should this news be released. Now the impact column is another important column. What we are looking at is the indication of the sensitivity of the market to this news. So if we have a yellow icon, as we see over here, a yellow icon means that it is low impact. This news can be understood, but it might not necessarily be traded on, and it will probably not cause much of a reaction. The next higher impact bearer is the orange icon. It's the medium impact icon. As you can see, that is slightly intermediate. Once again, it's not very exciting, and it's probably not worth our time trying to trade these news releases. Last but not least is the most important one, the high impact indicator, which is noted by the red icon. These are the events that you want to pay attention to. These are events that you want to trade off, and it is very important that you have open positions to try and manage them when such events break out. And if you are looking to enter the market prior to these releases, it's best you wait and let them pass first, unless you are using a news trading strategy to trade these events by themselves. So those are three different icons that you'll be seeing here. There will be one other particular icon, which I do not think has happened this week, but it would be white-colored. What these icons actually mean is that it's a holiday, national holiday, or it's a bank holiday, or whichever it might be for that particular day. So when these white icons are shown, especially in a key economy, such as the Japanese, British, or US, you might want to stay out of the market. And even if you want to trade, be aware that because one of the key markets is no longer present in the equation, volatility can be really high and liquidity can be really low, which both result in more difficult trading circumstances for you. So it is best you step out and take a holiday as well, just like the news tells you to. And if you really want to trade it, please be more careful when the white icon shows up. The next column we have is the actual news event. What actually happened? We only want to look at news events that have empirical data, which have numbers tagged to it. What we mean is, if you look at this specific event here, RBA Governor Stevens speaks, you do not have numbers here. You don't have data. It is more of a dialogue, and it's more of a session where information is being shared, but there are no key numbers being crunched. This makes for very difficult trading because market forces have different ways of interpreting different words. So this situation will cause a lot of confusion and volatility. It's best we stay out during these events. The more important news events we are looking for are those with high impact and those with numbers, those with actual physical numbers, as you can see. Now these are much easier to decipher, and the market knows that if it's a good number, it's good for the currency, and if it's a bad number, it's bad for the currency. Though it's not 100%, the perception of the market can be more unanimous if the data has numbers rather than speech, like we see over here. Therefore, we only look for news events that have red, high impact, and have empirical data. These are events that fit this description. What is this event about? You can click on the next column if you want to see the current account on the Aussie dollar. What are the details within? On clicking the icon, all the further details about what is the currency report studying appears, what it's made up of, what it means, and so on and so forth. This can actually go into further detail. You can break it down further and study the previous history that this news event brought in the past. If you want a more academic approach to it, you can go ahead and look at it and see what's going to happen. Now, the next column is the actual column, which is the most important column that everybody looks at. This is the column that will get updated when the news actually does break out. The forecast column is what people expect to happen when the news breaks out. So, prior to the news, you will see a forecast and you will see the previous. You will not see the actual column. If the actual column comes out with data better than the forecast, it is good for the currency. If the actual column comes out with data poorer than the forecast, that's bad news for the currency. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out which is good news and bad news because a smaller negative number could mean good news. But in actual terms, it means a smaller number. For example, unemployment reports with smaller numbers means better results. Whereas in the other case, if we're talking about consumer confidence or we are talking about GDP, a bigger number means a better result. It depends on what exactly the numbers mean and what they are in that specific context. So rather than being very academic and wanting to have a complete breakdown of what these numbers mean and how they are derived, you might want to keep it really simple. Go back to basics and just look at this. If it's a green number you see over here, it's a good result. If it's a red number, as you see over here, it's a bad result. It's as simple as that in Forex Factory. It's really easy for you to understand and for you to pick things apart just like that. So green is good for the currency and red is bad for the currency. It's as simple as that. And in the second last column, as we see over here, is the previous, which basically shows what data the previous report brought before the last news release came out. The last data you see over here is a visual way of showing you what previous numbers were in a visual chart display. So this video is a helpful reference on how forexfactory.com works, and you will have different ways of interpreting data, which forexfactory.com shows you. This is where you learn the sources of market news, and we hope this is useful to understanding how this material can be used for reference in future trading. Thank you.